There's a harsh truth no one tells you after you turn 40. The chest exercises that used to work for you might now be the reason your joints hurt, your progress stalled, and your motivation hit the floor. You walk into the gym, do your routine like clockwork, a little bench press, some flies, maybe some dips to finish it off. But when you look in the mirror, that full, thick, carved chest you've been chasing for years still isn't there. And deep down, a part of you is starting to wonder if maybe it's just not in the cards anymore. But here's the thing. It's not age that's holding you back. It's the way you're training. Most guys over 40 are doing chest workouts designed for 20-somethings with bulletproof joints, infinite recovery, and zero awareness of long-term consequences. You're not that guy anymore. And that's a good thing, because now you're smarter, more experienced, and finally ready to train with intention, not ego. Let's be real. Some of the most popular chest exercises in the gym are not designed with longevity in mind. They look great on paper. They feel familiar. But under the surface, they're grinding away at your shoulders, compressing your joints, and forcing your body into positions that were never natural in the first place. Every rep you push through pain? That's not toughness. That's slow sabotage. And don't even get me started on gym culture. How many times have you kept doing an exercise even when it didn't feel right, just because everyone else does it? Or because some ripped influencer swore it was the key to growth? Meanwhile, your progress is stuck, your shoulders ache in bed, and your chest still lacks that dense, full look that screams, trained. That ends now. In this video, we're going to break down 4 popular chest exercises that most men over 40 should stop doing immediately. Not because they're bad, but because they no longer serve you. Because they carry more risk than reward. Because smarter alternatives exist. Ones that protect your joints, match your current physiology, and still hit your chest like a truck. No fluff, no fear-mongering, just straight talk, practical swaps, and science-backed explanations that'll make you wonder why you didn't switch sooner. And trust me, once you feel the difference these changes make, you'll never look at chest day the same way again. You'll feel stronger, more connected, and finally, see the results you've been chasing all this time. If this is already hitting close to home, hit that subscribe button, because what's coming next might just change the way you train forever. Dumbbell Flies. Dumbbell flies look elegant. They feel deep. You stretch your arms wide, feel that pull across your chest, and think, this must be hitting the pecs hard. But what you're really hitting is your shoulder's breaking point, especially if you're over 40. Think of your shoulder as a golf ball on a tee. During flies, especially at the bottom of the movement, you're pulling that ball out to the edge of the socket. Under load. It's an unstable position that stretches the joint capsule, strains the rotator cuff, and places the shoulder in a mechanical disadvantage. And here's what makes it worse. Age. When you're 20, your shoulder can compensate. Your tendons are fresh, your rotator cuff strong, and your mobility forgiving. But by the time you hit 40, that same stretch becomes a repetitive trauma. Micro damage adds up. Your stabilizers start slipping. You're still training, but now with inflammation as your training partner. Most guys, when they feel that pain, don't stop. They just tweak the form to make it more comfortable. Smaller range, weird dumbbell angle, less stretch, less load, and in that process, you're not even stimulating the chest anymore. You're babysitting your ego while putting your joints at risk. Also, flies require 3-dimensional control. Not just up and down. You're stabilizing side to side, keeping wrist alignment, shoulder position, and elbow tracking all dialed in. And guess what declines with age? Neuromuscular coordination. So the exercise that once felt smooth now turns into a shaky, risky circus act. And the final blow? EMG studies don't even show dumbbell flies as superior for chest activation. So you're risking injury and not even getting better gains out of it. Let's be blunt. You don't need dumbbell flies in your life, not anymore. Not at 40. There are better, safer, more targeted ways to stimulate your chest. And we'll get to those soon. Barbell Bench Press. Let's rip off the Band-Aid. The barbell bench press might be the most iconic chest exercise ever. But if you're over 40, it could be the very thing holding you back. We've all been there. Lying under the bar, trying to beat your last PR, chasing that number like it's your identity. How much do you bench? Became a badge of honor. But let's pause for a second. Is that badge costing you your shoulders, your posture, and your long-term progress? Here's the brutal reality. The bar locks your hands in a fixed position. That might not sound like a big deal until you realize every shoulder is built differently. Forcing every lifter into the same path is like telling everyone to wear the same shoe size. For some, it fits. For most, it causes pain, imbalance, and long-term wear. The barbell forces internal rotation at the shoulder joint, which may not match your natural biomechanics. And as you age, that forced position becomes more and more punishing. You're not just pressing, you're grinding your joints against their limits, rep after rep. And don't even get me started on the spinal arch. To move more weight, guys crank their lower backs into extreme positions. Sure, it gets the bar up, but it also compresses your spine and adds unnecessary risk to your lumbar discs, especially dangerous if you sit a lot or already deal with back tightness. Another hidden issue? The range of motion. If you've got long arms or a bigger chest, the bar might not even allow a full stretch. You stop short, your pecs don't fully activate, and you're left wondering why your upper chest still looks flat after years of pressing. But the biggest problem of all? Ego lifting. The bench press is a magnet for bad habits. Bouncing the bar, half reps, sacrificing form just to go heavy. And after 40, every one of those habits has a price tag. Joint inflammation, tendon strain, plateaus, or worse. Now, I'm not saying the bench press is evil, but it's not the gold standard it's hyped up to be, especially for older lifters who value longevity, joint health, and actual muscle activation over numbers on a bar. There's a better tool for the job. And we'll get to it soon. Pec Deck. At first glance, the Pec Deck looks like the perfect chest machine. It's easy to use, feels controlled, and hey, everyone in the gym seems to be using it. But here's what most lifters over 40 don't realize. This machine might be one of the sneakiest joint wreckers on the floor. Let's break it down. The Pec Deck locks your arms into a position that combines horizontal abduction and external rotation, a combo that puts intense stress on the shoulder joint. Think of it like trying to twist your arm behind your back while holding a load. Sounds awkward? That's exactly what your rotator cuff feels. The problem gets worse the closer you get to the end of the movement. That deep stretch position at the back, it compresses delicate shoulder structures, especially the rotator cuff tendons, in a way your body was never designed to handle under load. And the more you repeat it, the more inflammation builds, until one day you're skipping chest day because your shoulder just doesn't feel right. Now, if the machine adjusted to your body, this wouldn't be such a big deal. But it doesn't. It's a one-size-fits-all path. And just like shoes, lifting mechanics should never be one-size-fits-all. Especially after 40, when your body starts sending louder signals about what's working and what's not. To make things worse, the Pec Deck gives off this false sense of safety. It's a machine. I can go heavy. But going heavy in a bad position doesn't make it safer. It just makes the damage more precise. And for guys who already have mild joint wear, which, let's face it, most of us do by our late 30s, this can be the final nail in the shoulder coffin. Add to that the limited range of motion. Most Pec Decks stop you just short of a full stretch and don't let you contract across the midline of the body. Translation? You're missing out on both sides of the movement. No deep fiber recruitment, no peak contraction. Just mediocre tension in a dangerous position. If you're serious about building a solid chest and keeping your shoulders healthy in the process, the Pec Deck isn't your friend. It's a comfort trap, and it's time to break out of it. Dips. Dips are one of those old-school exercises that look hardcore. They feel primal. You're lifting your own body weight, leaning forward, grinding through reps. It feels like real work. And don't get me wrong, for the right person, dips can be powerful. But for guys over 40, they're a minefield. Let's start with what happens to your shoulders. During dips, your arms move into extreme extension and internal rotation, the exact combination that puts the front of your shoulder capsule under maximum stress. It's like forcing a door to open the wrong way. At first, it resists, then it creaks. Eventually, the hinge gives out. This isn't just theory. The anterior structures of the shoulder, the same ones already worn from years of pressing, typing, driving, are now getting cranked to the limit under your full body weight. And that stress builds fast, especially if you're already dealing with instability, tightness, or hidden imbalances, which, let's be honest, most of us are by 40. But it doesn't stop there. Your elbows take a beating too. When you dip low, especially with added weight, the angle puts a shearing force on your elbow joint that it's just not designed to handle repeatedly. That nagging tendon pain on the inside of your arm? Yeah, dips love to bring that out. And because dips are tough, people often try to compensate by swinging, shortening the range, overleaning, or using momentum. That turns an already risky movement into a chaotic mess. Now you've got poor form, poor alignment, and a chest that's barely getting stimulated. Even worse, most guys think dips are the secret to building the lower chest. And while they do target that area, it comes at a cost. You're paying with shoulder health, elbow integrity, and long-term consistency. And that trade-off isn't worth it anymore. You don't need to ditch bodyweight training. You just need smarter movements that give you the same chest activation without trashing your joints. And that's exactly what's coming next. Why swapping these exercises changes? Everything you've probably heard the saying, if it hurts, stop doing it. Sounds obvious, right? But in the gym, especially for guys who've been training for years, we learn to ignore pain. We power through. We think it's part of the process. But when you hit your 40s, pain stops being a sign of hard work and starts being a warning light on the dashboard. The truth is, most of us don't change exercises until we're forced to. Until something pops, cracks, or refuses to move without waking up in pain the next morning. But here's the wake-up call. You don't have to wait for an injury to train smarter. Swapping exercises isn't about going easy. It's about getting strategic. It's about working with your body instead of against it. Because after 40, everything changes. Your recovery, your mobility, your joint health. And the guys who keep training like they're 20 are the same ones who disappear from the gym for months because their shoulder gave out. But here's the good news. The chest you want? The strength you need? The look you're chasing? You can still build all of that. without sacrificing your joints, your form, or your future. It's all about choosing movements that deliver maximum tension to the chest without creating chaos in your shoulder girdle. Exercises that match your body's natural mechanics, that feel smooth instead of forced, that hit the muscle, not the joint. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 4 smarter, safer, and more effective exercises to replace the ones we just broke down. Each one was hand-picked to give you high-level chest stimulation while keeping your body in the game long-term. Because looking strong means nothing if you're constantly nursing injuries. But if you train smart, you don't just build muscle, you build resilience, and that's what really lasts. Let's get into it. Exercise 1. Machine flies. If you've been doing dumbbell flies for years, this swap might feel too easy at first glance. But don't let the machine fool you. Machine flies aren't just a safer alternative. They're a smarter evolution of the same movement, designed for stability, efficiency, and serious chest activation without joint destruction. The key difference here? Trajectory control. With dumbbells, you're responsible for keeping that weight balanced across multiple planes. Any wobble in your wrist, elbow, or shoulder multiplies the risk, especially under fatigue. But with machine flies, the path is fixed. You move through a guided arc that keeps tension on your chest and stress off your shoulders. Imagine walking across a narrow, rocky trail versus a solid bridge with handrails. One demands constant correction and puts you at risk. The other lets you focus entirely on the destination. That's what machine flies do. They give you a stable foundation to focus purely on contraction. And here's where it gets powerful. Range control. Most good fly machines allow you to adjust how far back your arms go. That means if you're feeling stiff, sore, or recovering from a previous injury, you can still get quality reps within your safe range. Then, as mobility improves, you increase that stretch slowly and safely. Not all at once, like with dumbbells. Plus, many modern machines are built with resistance curves that match your chest's strength curve, meaning you get the most resistance exactly when your pecs are strongest. This creates optimal tension for hypertrophy without the instability or awkward angles. There's also a hidden benefit here: mind-muscle connection. Because you're not burning energy stabilizing the weight, you can zero in on squeezing your chest at the peak of each rep. Try adding a 1 to 2 second hold at the point of maximum contraction. That small change alone can completely change the game for your upper and middle chest development. One warning though, just because it's a machine doesn't mean you should ego lift. Don't pile on the plates like it's a leg press. Focus on smooth execution, controlled tempo, and precision. The goal here is to stimulate the muscle, not impress the guy waiting in line. Machine flies are simple, safe, and ridiculously effective, especially for lifters over 40 who want results without the shoulder surgery. Exercise 2. Dumbbell Bench Press. If you've been glued to the barbell your whole life, this one might feel like blasphemy. But trust me, once you make the switch to dumbbells, you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner. The dumbbell bench press doesn't just match the barbell in effectiveness, it beats it in versatility, safety, and long-term sustainability. Let's start with the biggest win: freedom of movement. With dumbbells, you're no longer forced into that rigid, fixed path of the bar. Your hands, elbows, and shoulders can move naturally, adapting to your personal anatomy instead of fighting it. This alone reduces joint stress massively, especially in the shoulders and wrists. Think of it like switching from a generic suit to a custom-tailored one. Same purpose, totally different fit. And that fit matters more than ever after 40, when your joints are less forgiving and your connective tissue needs smarter handling. You also get the benefit of rotational control. During the movement, your wrists can slightly rotate, allowing your elbows to follow a more joint-friendly arc. This keeps your shoulders in a safer position, reducing the internal rotation that wrecks so many lifters over time. Then there's the range of motion. With dumbbells, you're not limited by a metal bar hitting your chest. You can go deeper, get a fuller stretch, and squeeze harder at the top, all of which fire up more muscle fibers and lead to better growth. This alone can make a massive difference in how your chest looks and feels, especially in the lower and inner portions that often stay underdeveloped with barbell work. Another bonus: stabilizer recruitment. Each arm has to work independently, forcing your body to activate more muscles to control the load. It's not just a chest movement. It becomes a full upper body stabilizer challenge. That means more balanced development, better coordination, and a reduced risk of muscular imbalances that lead to injuries. And here's something most guys overlook. Dumbbells allow for subtle grip variations. Want to reduce shoulder strain even more? Try a neutral grip, palms facing each other. It's a small tweak that creates a huge difference in how your joints feel, especially if you've had shoulder issues in the past. The only trap here? Going too heavy, too fast. Don't let your ego hijack your progress. Start with moderate weight, nail the form, control the tempo, and let the results speak for themselves. Bottom line, if you want to press heavy, build size, and keep training for decades, the dumbbell bench press is your best ally. Exercise 3. Mid-pulley cable crossover. If the Pec Deck has been your go-to for fly movements, it's time to upgrade, and the mid-pulley cable crossover is that upgrade. It gives you everything the Pec Deck promises, but actually delivers: full range, constant tension, freedom of movement, and real chest isolation, without jamming your shoulders into awkward positions. Here's what makes it a game changer: freedom to move naturally. Unlike the Pec Deck, where your arms are locked into one fixed path, cables let you adjust the arc of your movement based on your body, not the machine. You can slightly angle your elbows, adjust your wrist rotation, or shift your torso position to find the line that hits your chest just right. This is crucial after 40, when your joints demand respect. That freedom protects your shoulders, adapts to your structure, and allows your body to move the way it wants to move, not the way the machine tells it to. Now, let's talk tension. With cables, resistance is constant throughout the entire movement. There's no dead zone. Your pecs are under load from the very beginning all the way through the contraction. That means every inch of every rep is productive, and that's exactly what you want if you're serious about growth. You also get something the Pec Deck doesn't offer: full contraction past the midline. With cables, you can bring your hands all the way together, or even cross them slightly, which is how the chest is naturally designed to function. That final squeeze? That's what activates the deep muscle fibers that give your chest shape and definition. Another benefit? Angle versatility. A small shift in torso position lets you target different portions of your chest. Lean slightly forward, more emphasis on upper chest. Stand tall and neutral, you'll hammer the midline. This level of control allows for a much more complete, well-rounded chest, and lets you work around any mobility limitations or joint issues. But like every great tool, the cable crossover comes with a warning. Don't overdo the weight. Too heavy, and you'll start using your arms, shoulders, and back to pull, turning a chest isolation movement into a chaotic tug-of-war. Keep the weight moderate, focus on form, and control the full range, both concentric and eccentric. When done right, the mid-pulley crossover is a high-tension, joint-friendly hypertrophy weapon that should be a staple in any over 40 chest routine. Exercise 4. High pulley cable crossover. Let's get one thing straight. Just because dips target the lower chest doesn't mean they're the best way to do it. In fact, they're one of the riskiest. But if you want to hit that same area, the lower outer chest that gives your pecs that carved, complete look, without grinding your shoulders and elbows into dust, the high pulley cable crossover is your golden ticket. Here's why it works. It mimics the exact path of the lower chest muscle fibers. When you bring your arms down and across from a high position, you're moving in the direction your lower pecs are naturally designed to contract. That means maximum efficiency, minimum guesswork, and zero joint punishment. Unlike dips, which force your shoulders into deep extension and crank your elbows at a brutal angle, this movement keeps your joints in a safe, controlled zone. Your shoulders stay in a neutral alignment. Your elbows don't hyperextend, and your spine isn't stressed by body weight imbalance or awkward posture. But don't let the simplicity fool you. This exercise is brutal when done right. The key is controlled movement, full range, and laser focus on the contraction. At the bottom of the movement, when your hands meet in front of your body, imagine trying to crush an invisible ball between your palms. That cue alone will fire up fibers you didn't even know existed. And again, like all cable work, you get constant tension. There's no part of the rep where your chest gets to relax. From top to bottom, your muscles are working, which means more stimulus, more activation, more growth. There's also angle flexibility. You can stand slightly forward to increase tension at the peak, or take a step back to stretch more at the top. You can even adjust your elbow angle to emphasize different zones within the lower pec. That kind of micro-adjustment is impossible with dips, but easy and natural with cables. One pro tip: avoid using momentum. A lot of lifters turn this into a swinging pull-down with their back and arms doing most of the work. Keep your elbows slightly bent, your chest proud, and your core tight. Slow it down, and you'll feel that burn in all the right places. Bottom line, if you want to develop the lower chest with precision, control, and safety, high pulley cable crossovers aren't just an alternative to dips. They're a superior evolution. You've seen the exercises that hurt more than help. You've seen the ones that protect your joints, build real muscle, and actually match your body's mechanics after 40. Now the question is, what are you going to do with that? Because here's the truth. Most guys won't change. They'll keep grinding through the same painful lifts, keep following routines from 20-year-olds, keep wondering why they're stuck, why their chest looks flat, why their shoulders ache for days after chest day. But not you. If you've made it this far, you already know better. And knowing better? That's the first step to training smarter, looking better, and staying in the game long-term. You don't need more volume. You don't need to kill it every session. You need precision, control, consistency. You need to give your body the stimulus it can respond to, not just survive through. The good news? You're not past your prime. You're just entering the phase where strategy matters more than brute force. And if you apply what you learned today, your best training years might still be ahead of you. What's the one thing you're changing in your training after this? Drop it in the comments. And let's help more guys train smarter by sharing what actually works. If this video gave you at least one aha moment, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let's keep building this together. Let's stay strong and stay in the fight.